welcome back. If you've been freaking out about not being able to maintain your own life or your own home, then guess what? You're in good shape because you can stop freaking right now because we have the owner and founder, Bill Cahill of Beacon Plumbing, joining us. As you probably know, Beacon Plumbing has helped provide excellent emergency plumbing and heating services to the greater Seattle area for more than a decade and has become the most reliable service you can count on, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And right now, Bill Cahill joins us. Hello, Bill.
Good afternoon.
How you doing today?
Oh, well, I found out how the economy is improving on the drive over.
Oh, you did?
It was great to see 405 jam-packed, as well as 167. That's a good sign for Seattle.
Yeah, well, it's a good sign for the oil companies, at least, to have all the gasoline, running through those cars while they go 0 miles an hour.
I think it's a good sign for everyone.
Yeah. So, Bill, let's, plumbing is something that, as I talked about earlier, it needs to be maintained in a home, but you can't see it. I mean, most people can't see their plumbing unless you're missing half your walls. And but it's something that's there and you use every day. It's a really big piece. I mean, running water, it's part of civilization.
It's a piece of information that most people don't know how to deal with. We're coming into the season right now that's going to be really critical for homeowners because we're coming into the winter weather, and we're coming into the time that furnaces are going to need to be inspected, tuned up, sewer lines are going to need to be maintained, and customers need to know the simple things that they can take care of themselves in the event of an emergency.
Yeah, and because otherwise you can really have disaster. I mean, you're talking water all over the place with broken pipes. It can really be a disaster. Let's get into that in a minute, but first, there's this piece of plumbing that maybe a lot of people don't understand. These maybe just different ways to have a plumber come to your house or somebody to come service your house. Talk a little bit about the different choices people have in hiring somebody to come out.
Well, I'd love to. There's a marketplace out there right now that the handyman has become prevalent, and they're hanging out outside of Lowe's and Home Depot. And what the consumer needs to understand is qualifying the vendor, making sure that vendor is...
Talking about the illegal handyman?
I'm talking about all the handymen
okay.
that are touching and pertaining to plumbing.
Okay.
It's very, very important, Ben, to qualify the vendor, to make sure that who's working in your prized possession, that's your home, it's your piece of real estate, it's still our greatest investment. So in qualifying the vendor, we have to understand who's out there. And the larger companies that are in the greater Seattle area and some of the well-known smaller companies that have been around a long time are trustworthy. And you can look online and you can see some of these companies and have a good look at the reviews. So it's important to check and pre-qualify who's going to come into your home. If nothing else, for the warranty purpose, you want to make sure that if you're hiring a company, if they're going to do a big or a substantial job for you, that they're going to be in business in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and even have be able to stand up to their warranty because they're going to be in business. I mean, I guess that's the biggest point, right? They're going to stand behind their work.
Totally. And there's different kinds of plumbers out there. You've got the traditional time and material plumber, and a lot of the property managers and real estate agents, there's a misconception because they see the hourly, and a common question that a customer will ask us at Beacon Plumbing is, how much do you charge an hour? And with 40 trucks on the road, where is the relevance in the hourly wage? It's really, the question is how much is the job going to cost? At the end of the day, we want to know what we're going to pay for the total job completed. And we want to know some type of a time perimeter. How long is it going to take?
Well, that seems that it would make more sense, especially as you talk about reputable companies versus non-reputable. And I guess I would use a car maintenance as kind of a similar example where you drop your car off in the morning, you pick it up at night, you have no idea how long they were under your hood. Kind of the same thing in plumbing. I mean, you could drag a job out for hours and hours, days and days, but it would seem that knowing what the cost of the job would be more prevalent information.
Well, especially when we're dealing with property management companies and residential homeowners as well. Property management companies, they see the total price and they know what the price should be for a job. If I send, or any other company sends out a plumber on hourly and that plumber takes 3 times too long to do the job, where is the value in the hourly plumber? There is none. And there's no value in that plumber going to the parts house to pick up parts that should be on the truck.
So you can be, I guess, charged for things that are irrelevant in some ways.
Oh, totally irrelevant.
So when you start thinking about, whether you're going to have somebody come out and do the job, or you're going to pay for the time and materials, and you've qualified a company who, can stand behind their work, when you start getting into these winter months, what are some jobs that maybe people are hiring plumbing companies, plumbers, Beacon Plumbing for, that are not necessarily a broken pipe? I mean, where does some of that maintenance come in?
Okay, that's a very good question. Right now, it's real important, especially with all these vacant properties, to know, first off, where the shutoff valve is. Secondly, the maintenance that needs to take place, maybe de-winterizing a house if that house is empty, making sure that the water's cut off, that the water's drained from the system, that the power's cut off from the water heater, that the drains are winterized in the house, that the pipes are wrapped. And right now we're coming up, the weather's changing already. You talked a little bit about health. I'm one of those that's getting up early in the morning and going out for those walks, and it's getting colder in the mornings. So it's a good time right now for people to think, rather than at the problem, be a little bit proactive rather than reactive, and get underneath the house and start covering up some of your vents, insulating the piping, and preparing for the winter, getting the storm lines cleared, cabling out some of the storm lines, getting a little bit of maintenance on drain cleaning, or getting the furnace tuned up.
So all of these, this is all maintenance that comes in, and we're talking with Bill Cahill, owner and founder of Beacon Plumbing, but all of these different maintenance items that come in, this is stuff that if you don't take care of on a consistent basis can really cause much bigger problems down the road, isn't it? Absolutely.
There's so much. These water damage companies are having a heyday, and they're having a heyday because of the mold and the dry rot within properties. And it doesn't need to get to that point. After all, your property is your greatest investment. And you put money in the bank, you get a penny back on a dollar. You put money in real estate, and you're going to get 35 to 40 cents back on a buck. So in the Seattle area, it's probably a good time to think about taking care of your properties. And I know that the experts that are in the room here involved in real estate are probably going to make that point today.
What does a furnace tune-up specifically? You talk about wrapping pipes. We've talked a little bit about knowing where a shutoff valve is. Essentially, winterizing a home, getting it ready for winter. When you start talking about the heat, though, I don't know this answer. Even though on my furnace it definitely says maybe you should, have somebody come service this once a year with a little thing that probably marked nobody's been there for 4 years. But that's another point. You should come to my house. What is that? What does that furnace tune-up mean? What does that really entail?
Okay, that's a broad question, because there's so many types of heating. There's hydronic heating, there's boilers, forced air gas furnaces, electric furnaces. And maintaining a furnace, first and foremost, is making sure that furnace is safe for a family. If it's a gas furnace, we want to come in, we want to get a mirror, we want to look back and make sure that the heat exchanger is not cracked and in good condition. We want to make sure there's no gas leaks. We want to lube up all the parts. We want to change the filters, make sure that the thermostat is working. And this is the time to do it, not in the middle of winter. In the middle of winter, we can't get a truck out the same day. We're booked out, and so is every other company. All heating and plumbing companies are busy during the wintertime. So summertime, we're running specials. Other companies are running specials. That's the time to take your furnace and get it in shape for the long winter that we're going to have.
Bill, I have you start talking about this. You guys get very busy in the winter, and you talk about now would be the time to do it. And we just have about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. What is the cost of maintenance versus the cost of fixing something once it's broken?
Well, that's a simple question. It's always cheaper to maintain. No matter what you have, take care of it. Rather than making the big spend of thousands of dollars, spend a couple of $100, or in our case, $59 to get a furnace tuned up, and save your money. There's other areas of the house that you can utilize that money.
Should most people be getting a furnace tune-up once a year? I know you said it's different for everything, but is there a general answer to that sort of question?
And that's a good question, because I don't think it's necessary to tune up the furnace once a year. I think every 2 years is fine. That's sufficient. Okay. But I think the filters should be changed every year.
How long do you think most people go without changing the filters? Or I'm looking around. Nobody here's at a furnace check. Everybody's going, I mean, how often do people actually do a furnace tune-up?
Well, if it's my house, it probably never happens.
Do what I say, not as I do, right?
Absolutely.
Bill, I have a feeling your furnace is in pretty good shape, my friend. Bill, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, Bill Cahill, owner and founder of Beacon Plumbing. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit with Amber Bills about what's going on in the real estate market in Maple Valley, Black Diamond, those areas, the new construction that's going on, and what is selling fast, the trends that are selling real estate fast. We'll be right back after this break.